How's it going, everyone? Scott McKay here, Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks. Going to do a quick how-to, how to go from a sketch to a rough vector to a cleanup vector ready for paint. So this is a Valentine's Day project we're doing on my live feed, and I'm going to do this kind of thorned heart, glass with skull in it, and this was done in Procreate. So just simply doing a line drawing, create a new layer, do the black lines, and I'm going to do some rough color work just to get a rough concept. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to export just the lines into the Adobe Illustrator app on my iPad. So here we are in the Illustrator on iPad. And I'm going to do is I'm going to import the photo, which was saved as a PNG. I'm going to check out the size. I'm going to kind of scale it to my artboard, just kind of get it to the size it's going to be. In this case, it's a 12 by 14 inch panel. I'm going to select that image, not go to align. I'm going to go to the opacity and the preferences. I'm going to drop the opacity down. I'm going to go up to the layer tab and I'm going to lock the layer. And then I'm going to create a new layer. Okay, the new layer is going to be where I'm going to do all the work on. Then I'm going to go over to my pencil tool and I'm just going to free draw. I'm going to maybe check the smoothness, because it kind of auto smooth. You can set it to your preference. I like it down to 2 because I like the little bit of body shake to show through my vector work. And I'm going to try it out, and then I'm going to actually switch to black line work, no color fill. There's that area there, and I'm just going to start drawing. And this is just like anything else. Because I made a new layer and I locked that first one, this is like putting a piece of tracing paper, over your original drawing and doing a cleanup round. Just by doing it here in the app, I get to use the Apple Pen on my iPad, and all these lines are vectors. Now they're not perfect because there is, just a little delineation using the pen on the screen, but this is much faster than clicking with a mouse. Not that you can't do it with a mouse, I do it quite often, but this is just a very fast workflow way to do it. And then I'm going to do all the actual cleanup in Adobe Illustrator on my computer. You can do it all here as well. I'm just not as comfortable with it because I haven't worked in the app as much, but in Adobe Illustrator on my computer, I can go through that. I'm going to show you how I do a quick cleanup and make it really crisp and clean, whether you're going to do a full digital rendering, have all your points clean, or if you're going to use it and plot it out on a craft cutter or a plotter cutter machine, or turn it into a vinyl decal or something like that. I'm going to run you through all that as well. So I'm just going around, hitting all the line work. And if I don't like the way it's auto smoothing, I can change it. And then I just continue to go through the whole process. And this is what I really like about the iPad and using a pen. And you don't have to use an iPad if you have a Wacom Cintiq or a Huion tablet or any type of tablet. You can do the same process on. I've been doing it for years and years. I've been doing this technique for a long time, and it's just a very smooth, fast workflow. That's how I'm able to get these paintings done really quick and be really efficient for my live feeds and things like that. So this whole live feed production is going to go from the morning, and I'll have painted tonight. Okay, so that's all the thorns. I don't have to get too worried about anything crazy because I can clean it up later. And now I'm going to switch to the pen tool itself. You can do it with the pencil as well, but the pen tool, you can do a standard Bezier curve, 3-point curve, and pull the handles around. And I kind of like it in the app, but I got to get better at it. I'm so used to doing it in the computer where I can manipulate everything. I'm still kind of getting used to it there. So I'm just going to do it quick here, and then I'll do the rest of the cleanup in Adobe Illustrator itself. Yeah, I'm trying different things. Like I said, I'm still kind of getting used to this. I was trying some shortcut keys. So there's a lot you can do. I mainly use it for free drawing. So I definitely got to spend some more time in Illustrator on the iPad app and get a little bit more proficient at it. But for how I use it, this basic technique is just fine. I have to remember when I do the screen recordings that they crop a little funny, so I gotta do things a little smaller next time. Because it isn't recording everything on the top and bottom of the screen, so you can't see it. I apologize for that. But I'm just kind of adjusting the point and the shape of the heart. When I go through more of that on Illustrator. But if you don't have a tablet or Cintiq or anything like that, iPads or things like that are just, they're so easy to use. Highly recommend it. Just go through and test everything out. And I just free drew it. I ended up free drawing it. It was a little easier, and I'll let the auto smooth kind of take care of it. So I went up to 4. Just drew it out, and it smoothed it out pretty much where I want it. Then I was able to just go in and do all the work in Illustrator itself. But yeah, this is how I do a lot of my skull work, a lot of my organic image work. If it's graphics and hard stuff, I just do it in the computer with a standard mouse click. I find it much easier. But I'm going to show you in Illustrator some quick ways to clean up all lines that kind of cut through each other, and how to get everything perfectly clean. It really takes 2 seconds. I think this whole project, from start to ready vectored or ready to just transfer to it in hand cut if you were using a printer, probably about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. All right, off to Adobe Illustrator on the computer to wrap this thing up. Okay, now what I've done, I have imported this into Adobe Illustrator on my computer to do editing. I'm going to be plotting from the computer, and there's still some things I like to do with mouse and keyboard, especially when it comes to cleanup of stuff like this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at everything. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to go to my layers palette, and I'm just going to basically hide the sketch at this point. You can leave it there, it doesn't really matter. But this is where I like to go in and check everything. So see, I got my gaps here. The first thing is I do is I take the white arrow, and I grab these, and I kind of start just doing this type of cleanup. And that way I get good connections, and I can kind of change what I want to do, and I can move that here. The other thing you can do at this point, right now you're seeing a wide stroke, which is how it would print, but the cut, if you look, is right in the middle. So if you hit Control Y or Command Y if you're on a Mac, you'll just see the lines. And this is what a plotter, cutter, Cricut, craft cutter will see. Okay, so this is your gaps. So even though that one looked like it was on here, you can see it's going to kind of overcut. So you can just clean those up by clicking and dragging with the direct select arrow, which is the white one. If you have a plugin like I have here, I'll show you a little trick you can do on pesky things like this, which is actually faster. This is a plugin by Astute Graphics, which is astutegraphics.com. It's something I've been using for years. I'm not a sponsor, I haven't been paid. It's just something I've been using for a while. And they have this one thing called Dynamic Sketch, which is a freehand sketch tool for Illustrator. Same thing we were just doing on the iPad. But if you hold Shift, you get this little X, and all you got to do is drag across, and it makes a perfect intersection. It doesn't cross over. So like this, you can just drag loose and put it over. It doesn't matter. Dynamic Sketch, hold Shift, boom, boom, they're gone. Now you'll have nice clean vectors. So I'm going to go around this whole thing here. And what I'm also going to do, I'll show you how well that actually works. I'm going to connect this up so you get a nice flow all the way through, okay? And make sure this is kind of what I want for the shape. And I can manipulate this around. I think it's kind of cool. There we go. So this goes through, or it's a little bumpy. A lot of times I do this first. I just go through and get it all how I want it. And then go ahead and do the cleanup. This one here, how it's a little wonky looking. Let me zoom out to to make it easier, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to delete this section. I'm going to delete this from here. I'm going to go back to my pen tool. I'm going to click this point. I'm going to click this point. I want to drag this. So it's really, whoops, drag a little too far. I'm just going to drag that until I'm happy with its position. Let me zoom out here. Keep zooming in, sorry about that. Okay, so I kind of like it's a little fatter than I want it to be. So I think I'm going to do, just want to grab just this one because it's its own shape. I'm just going to scoot it in a little bit. Scooch it down. And then I want to rework down here. This is where I like I said, I like using the computer more for this part. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these up. Here's a little trick. Selection arrow, you click both endpoints. Command J or Control J, depending if you're on a Mac. You can just drag that. Now it's connected and smooth. It's one shape now. Alright, I like that. This is coming where I want it. That's doing what I want. The skull in here I'm going to be doing in the painting. That's just going to be freehand. I don't need to do anything with that. Let's do a quick cleanup here. Back to dynamic sketch. Boom, boom. And you see how fast that is. It's so invaluable if you're doing a lot of cleanup because you can just delete that. But if you don't have that, you just have to do the old school way, and I'll show you how that is done as well. Okay, so let me bring these back. So if you don't have that tool, this is what you have to do. You have to go into your palette here, take your scissors. I usually just go cut, direct select, then you can delete that. And now you can go through and move these points and make them clean. There may be a faster way to do it. That's the only way I know how to do it. But you can see why I like the other tool from Dynamic Sketch, because it's click way faster. It's just click and drag. It's almost cheating, but it's not. And that's done. Okay, so now this is where I go through. I zoom in. Oops, sorry about that. I'm going to zoom in. If you heard my dog yawning, that was my dog yawning. Now I can just kind of clean these up from here. And if you don't have Illustrator, don't worry about this, because this type of object, you could just print it, do a paper cut technique like I've shown a dozen times, or transfer tape your artwork board like I've done, cut it directly on the surface, and it'll be the same exact process after that. Oops. Yeah, I just go around deleting straight anchor points and get everything cleaned up, like right here. Like, see this? I hate these. That's what happens when you freehand draw a lot. So we can go in here and just kind of clean that up. This is a thorn, so it doesn't have to be like crazy perfect. But I just want to make sure everything is good to go. And I think that's it. This is vectored, ready to go. It's going to be sized to my panel. My panel is a 12 by 24 inch panel, which is here. That's a sketch, that can go away. So that's my panel for the painting tonight, 12 by 24. I mean 12 by 14, sorry, not by 24. It's 12 inches wide, 24. And it has a half-inch border around it, and then we're going to some fire and some skulls. And this is ready to go. And with that done, we're going to get this thing painted up on the live feed, turn this into a nice, thorough how-to video. Hope you'll check it out. Hit subscribe and share.